One of the most frequently asked questions I get on my channel is, what should I buy? Should I get a Derette DRT450 or should I get a Derette V1000? Man, I don't know what to tell you. I'm going to show you the differences between the two machines, and I'm going to leave it up to you to decide if you want to get one of these machines, which of these two might be right for you. The V1000 is long. The 450 is rather short. This is powered by a Kubota D902 diesel engine. This one is powered by a Honda twin-cylinder gasoline GX690 engine. They both have 3 valves and 3 pumps. Oh, 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 oh. Oh. I almost died. This is smaller, but if you fall, you can still get hurt. As you can see, just based on the size alone, these are two very different machines. These are not the same. This is not apples to apples, oranges to oranges. You use these for different purposes, in my opinion. So let me give you some details of what these machines actually are. Both of these machines are 3 valve, 3 pump, which means both of them have 1 pump to operate each track, so there's 2 pumps, and then a third pump is an auxiliary pump, and that's used for attachments like this brush cutter, or like a stump grinder, or a trencher, and a mulcher. There's so many attachments you can add to these, and you need that auxiliary pump to be able to use them. One of the big differences between these is the way the arms lift. Now, neither one of these has your typical arm lift design. So let's start with a little 450. So this machine, these are the arms. These other arms, these are auto leveling arms. So it's an auto level bucket. Watch this. So when you lift them up, see how the bucket just stays at the exact same spot? Auto level. And watch these arms. See how these arms work together to make sure that that bucket never changes the angle. So if you have pallet forks on here, maybe you just scooped up some material and you want to lift it, this is the perfect homeowner arm setup, because a new guy like me can just jump on the machine and I don't have to mess with trying to get the angle of the bucket right as the arms are moving up, you know? It just stays exactly where it's supposed to be. So I think that that is really a great feature of this 450. A normal arm setup with just pivot right here, so when it comes up, it just all comes up together. And the bucket, if the bucket's pointing straight out, the bucket will then be up. You'd have to adjust it to keep it level. Otherwise, you'll dump your dirt out, or if you have pallet forks on there, you might dump your load. So this V1000 has a completely different arm setup. Again, it doesn't just pivot like this. It pivots on this bar. This bar pivots down here at the bottom. And then it has this bar that holds it up. So this is what's called a vertical lift arm. So let me fire it up and I'll show you this one. So when the arm comes up on this, it's not auto leveling, but see how it comes back? Let me move back. So see this? It goes straight up. So from the point at the ground it came up, it went straight up. And the way that happens is, take a look here. See, it starts to come back, and then it gets to a point and it'll start to go forward because of this bar. So now it'll go back forward and the bucket pretty much stays at the same point the whole way through. That leads me to another big difference. So this, I'm 6 feet tall. So this lifts, let's say, 7 feet 8 inches. It's clearly way over 6 feet. This one lifts 6 feet. I'm 6 feet tall. That's how tall this is. So if you need to lift really high, the V1000 is the clear winner. I never do need to really lift high. I've never actually had to lift anything that high, to tell you the truth. Now, if you're getting over a wall, you're getting over a really big dump trailer, maybe a dump truck, you might need it that high. But most homeowners don't need more than 6 foot, you know? So this is ideal for the average homeowner, but sometimes you might need that extra height or the extra lifting capacity. Because I can easily lift the V1000 1,000 pounds up that high, even more. I can probably lift 1,500 that high and not worry about it. But not on the 450. It's going to lift a lot less. Probably a little more with more counterweights. But I don't have more counterweights. I do have 100 pounds of counterweights on this. It has 2, 1 on each side. This one has 4 on each side. So this one's a whole lot more counterweight to it. So let me show you the operation of the machines. So this one on the 450, you see your control panel laid out, and it's pretty self-explanatory. This is how to start it. You've got your horn. Let me turn the battery on. Got your horn. You've got your headlights. This lets you know the power's on. This light here lets you know if it's running pretty hot and your cooling fan has turned on. Yes, it does have a hydraulic cooling fan. If this red light comes on, abort, abort, abort. Oil pressure is low. Stop, stop, stop. Never seen that light come on. You've got your oil temperature, your fuel gauge, which is not very accurate, by the way. Totally full, it's only at 3/4 of a tank, and then 0 means that's like half the tank, I don't know. Your hour meter, this power outlet is for things like the stump grinder. You've got a choke and your throttle. So to start it, pull your choke, turn the key, and now you're started. So these are your controls. So this is your right track, your left track, and when you push them together, you drive forward. Same thing for reverse. Now if you want to turn to the right, you push this one to the right, and then you can pull this one to the left, and you're also going to turn to the right. You can do them both, which is not a good idea to do on grass. So that's the basic operation of movement. So this is for your arms. Down, and this is up. Now this left stick, this is your bucket. See that? Now I've got a 4-in-1 bucket on here, but I don't have the hydraulic lines hooked up. I just set it on here for fun. So that's the basic operation of the 450. Now the V1000, that's a whole different creature. So when you see you getting into it, you've got pads all around you. And then you get into your cockpit area, and your controls are different, and there's more gauges. So on this one, turn to the left, you hear a clicking, and that's your glow plugs for your diesel. Turn to the right, and it fires up. You've got your throttle over here, and these sticks are totally different. This controls your arm and your bucket. Arm up, arm down. To the right is bucket down, to the left is bucket up. You can move them at the same time, but it's a little difficult and takes some practice. I have not mastered it. I'm much better on the 450. So this one, you push forward, normal joystick, and you go forward. Backwards, goes backwards. You want to go to the left, turn it to the left. To the right, turn it to the right. Go forward, slowly to the right, you go to the right. You come back, slowly to the left, you come to the left. It's pretty easy, right? So up here, got temp gauge, battery light, oil pressure, and these are your glow plugs. These are lights. You've got your headlight and a horn. So you've got your fuel gauge, which I don't think is the most accurate either. your temperature gauge, and then your voltmeter. Over here is your engine hours. So I have 12.6 hours on this machine. You got a 12 volt plug for your accessories like the stump grinder, and if you want to charge your phone, you've got two USB 2.1 amp plugs. It's kind of handy. Now on the very bottom here, you have a pressure gauge. So you can watch your hydraulic pressure. So let's make it move. See that? Something I didn't mention, this machine has something the other one doesn't, which could be a game changer and a decision maker for you. You push forward and push all the way forward and it locks in. That's float mode. So that just lets the arms rest on the ground, and you can pull back if you're going to do some back dragging, or maybe the Harley rake, or a variety of attachments you can use in float mode. That is useful. This also has a dead man switch. So hook this onto your belt, and if you come off the machine, it kills the machine. And as soon as you plug this back in, now your batteries turn back on. So these are very, very different setups for the user control interface. So speaking of that, the battery here, let me show you how that works. So you come over here to open the hood, and you open, and it's this heavy duty thick hood. Underneath here, this is your battery. You have a battery cutoff switch. I've only used that for videos to show that there's a battery cutoff switch. I always leave it on. Maybe if you're going to go on vacation, you're going to go to the airport, you want to shut it off, make sure there's no parasitic drain. That's great. So under the hood here, you've got a lot of stuff. There's a filter here, oil water separator. There's a filter down inside there. There's another filter here. There's a big filter there. There's another filter there. I mean, there's stuff everywhere in this machine. And as you look down inside, you see that Kubota diesel. There's a dipstick in there, but you can't get to it without pulling this side cover off and coming in through the side of the machine. You've got a radiator. There's coolant in there. I mean, there's a coolant reservoir back in there. This one has an alternator, which you can see down in there. The drive motors, you can see they're right about here. You cannot see them. They are down in there, and I don't plan to ever look at those because they're so far in there. If I see them, I have a problem. So you got your fuse box. The auxiliary pump I already replaced is right down here on the front. This is your hydraulic fill tank. This is your diesel tank. Now your diesel tank comes with this neat little filter inside. So neat that it doesn't let you fill it with diesel. So I pull that filter out, and that's how I fill my diesel tank. I probably should just get rid of that filter. So this is pretty heavy duty underneath here, and it's pretty complex. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. It's a diesel, right? And this hood, thunk, that is a solid hood. Now over here on this 450, let me give you a tour of that. So, with the arms down, you can't open the hood. Not possible. This bar for the auto level bucket and the auto level arms make it so you can't open the hood. So we're gonna have to start it. Let's go ahead and do that. So the correct way to do this, unscrew this bar, take this bar, put it on these arms, and that will prevent this from falling if there's a failure. So to open it, push, twist, lift. Also on shocks, but this, it's kind of a flimsy little hood. It's okay, it doesn't matter. It's cosmetic. Underneath here, you've got your hydraulic tank, and you've got hydraulic filters in there. You've got your 3-pump stack, and then you've got your engine back there. That's the Honda engine. Your dipstick is that gray right there, and here's all your valves. You want to see the drive motors? There they are. You can actually see them and read the tags on them if you so choose. Here's another drive motor. The battery is right there. Everything is accessible. It's super easy to work on. This is very simple. This jacket you see, a blanket, that is the muffler. So for that wins for ease of working on. Now, one thing that's a pain, the newer models have a removable panel, but this one you have to pull off these 8 bolts, and this panel comes off, and then you can access that Honda engine. So if you have a dead battery, what you're going to have to do is come in here to your starter, hook your positive terminal to it, and then you're going to want to put a negative down to one of these engine bolts, which is a chassis ground, and then you can jump start it. So a lot of people ask me that question. That's a solution for you. You will have to pull that back panel off. This one has degasoline, which goes in here. It locks. I don't know why it locks. I'm not worried about people stealing my gasoline. But that's where you fill the tank. I'm afraid I'll lose my key, so I just leave it in there. I'm also afraid one of these days I'll bend my key and break it. I haven't yet. I probably should find a better place for that. But when I put the key here, you can see how this is all scratched up. That's from the key swinging off that. So I don't want extra keys and mess up my machine and make it look all beat up, because I like my machine and want it pretty. This is not a heavy workhorse. This is my personal homeowner machine, and I want it to look nice. Something else you can see here underneath all this dirt, check out these tracks. These tracks are pretty heavy duty. They're big, they're long. These are much longer than the tracks on the 450. To adjust the track tension, you see this little grease fitting? You pump grease into that, and that pushes this part out, and that applies your tension. So that's pretty handy to do. On the 450, to adjust the tension, you get a 32 millimeter offset wrench down in there. You put a 16 millimeter on that, and you can tighten that as long as the tooth on your sprocket's not in the way. And you could push this forward manually with that 16 millimeter. They're short tracks. They're easy to work on. There's no extra fluff, just simple. Simplicity is nice. Again, on the V1000, take a look at the size of that hydraulic ram in the front. I mean, that thing's big. This is a very large ram. Pretty heavy duty stuff. All the lines for this machine are tucked in through the arms. They go through this rubber gasket or grommet, and they go through the arms, and they come out right here, where again they have protection, and they go down in and they go back into the machine. So that is a pretty good way to get everything protected. There is a little bash guard here to stop you from catching these lines. They're a little bit exposed, but not very much is exposed. So switch back over to the 450. You do have a sizable little ram here, but it's not nearly as big as the one on the V1000. You see the rubber lines are right here. They go into metal lines and go down the arm. Same with the auxiliary. And then they switch into rubber lines right here. So these rubber lines are right beside your hand. So when you have your hand here, you see these rubber lines here? What if one of those broke? I don't know. You just need to keep an eye out for these lines and make sure they don't get dry rotted or you have any problems with them. I mean, they're 3 really short lines, so it shouldn't be that big a deal. And these are for your hydraulic auxiliary flow. These are actually for the bucket, and they don't actually touch your hands, but they're right there. But you want to keep an eye on these lines and make sure they're in good shape. You do want to keep an eye on all lines on all machines to make sure they're in good shape, but especially these because they're right here by your face. A big deal with these is drivability, ergonomics, how it really feels when you're on the machine and what it's really like to drive it. And I know there's no way you can find that out exactly without driving it yourself, But I'm gonna go drive this around and I'm gonna show you from my point of view what I think about it and how it operates. So I'm just gonna run around my yard real quick and I'll show you what I think. So this is faster than the 450. And you crank up the RPM and it goes even faster. This one's super easy to operate. Let's go up and down this hill. So this is only 35.5 inches wide, so it's probably not as stable as the 42-inch wide 450, right? But if we're gonna go up some hills, how does it do? Well, the truth is, it doesn't really care. Now I'm gonna jump on the 450 and I'll show you what it's like to drive this. So anything I want to do with my hands, I have to take them off because they're both tied up to these controls. Notice on the V1000, I was able to turn the throttle up while I was driving because I could just take my hand off and turn it. But on this one, both hands on both controllers all the time, unless you want to go. Now you've got a free hand. But you can't turn like that. I mean, I guess you could. Well, now you can, but it's not ideal. So this one's not quite as fast, but it'll also go through anything. Now both machines, they're going to tear up your yard. You can see the track marks in front of me from the V1000 coming through here. But when I turn, that's when you really see it. So on this little hill test I did, up at the top, you can really see where I turned the V1000 because it just dug in. So I'm going to turn in a different spot on the 450 and let's compare what the track marks look like in the lawn. I'm going to go right outside of the V1000. We go right here. And you can hear the, I guess, chain drive in there somewhere when you're going down hills and you're turning. Something else to consider with these machines is when you want to turn. So you want to turn on the grass, This does okay, but you see how it's tearing it up? This just totally tears up the grass. See how it's pulling? Let me show you this. This is how tracks come off this machine. See that? With all the pressure of turning, it's pulling the track out. And if I started to drive, it would pop it off that rear sprocket. And that's how I've learned to not pull the track off. Don't do sharp turns. Sharp turns in grass or dirt or mud, they're going to pull your tracks off. That's just how it is. So make wide sweeping turns, not sharp. So now I want to be mindful that that track, I want to turn back into it to get it back underneath. And now we're good. Now the V1000, it doesn't like turning on grass. It has a longer surface or a longer track, and it just doesn't like it at all. I mean, there's more weight, there's more track length. And because what I just showed you on the 450, that's one of the reasons you don't want to turn sharp on grass. The V1000 kind of gives you a little nanny. It doesn't let you because of the weight and the length of the tracks. And that's a good thing, because I don't want to have to deal with putting the track back on this. So when you go to turn, it does not like to turn. So just go wide, back, wide, forward, wide, and you're not going to just tear up the ground so much. So if you do want to turn, just small, see that? Wide sweeping, and I didn't tear the ground up. But see how the ground is nice here? Well, it's about to not be. See that? Sharp turns. See how it's tearing the ground up? Because it's planted. And see what it's doing? Yeah, don't do that. Not good. So because it won't turn sharp on grass, that's not a bad thing. It saves the lawn and it saves the tracks from coming off. Something else to note is the V1000 is 35.5 inches wide. The 450 is 42 inches wide. So that's a wider machine, which is good, in my opinion, to be run around the yard. The V1000, that is more for commercial use if you want to get through a customer's gate in their backyard. So I don't need to go through a customer's gate. So to me, the 450 would work just fine. Let me tell you one of the biggest annoying differences between these two machines. So the attachment plate, when you're hooking up attachments, is very, very visible with the 450. It's not very visible with the V1000. Let me go hook up an attachment and I'll show you what I mean. The difference between hooking up with this and hooking up with this. So both machines, same thing. Pull your pins. Oh. Now this one, I don't think it wants to pull at this angle. Let me fix it. Let's show you a simple something as simple as a bucket. So see, I put it down. And see, I pull off, and we're done, right? So I want to hook up to it, drive up, lean it forward, there you go, it's on, right? And that wasn't even a clean way. Let's jump on the V1000. Let's hook up to a bucket. Okay, see? We're down in there. There you go. Wasn't so bad, but you had to get down in there. Now see here with this, oh, I put it with a plant in the way. Now here we go. Coming up. Can't really see it. Can you see it? I can't see it. Yeah, okay. You know how much practice it took for me to be able to do that? But then the 450, we want a brush cutter on it. Look at that, it's beautiful. Just right there. And then we're on. So hopefully this video was helpful to you and you've learned something from my little bit of experience with the V1000 and the DRT450, and it might help you decide whether you want to get one of these two machines or maybe neither of these machines. Maybe you want to get something similar to this from another manufacturer, or maybe this from some other manufacturer. So the way I see these machines, it's like trucks. So what kind of truck do you need for your lifestyle? Can you use a little Ford Ranger, a little Ford Maverick, or maybe an old school Chevy S10? Or do you need a half ton? Maybe you need a Silverado 1500, a Ram 1500, or Ford F-150. And that would be closer to this. Or maybe you need a monster. You need a diesel. Maybe you need a F-350. You need a Ram 3500. You need a heavy duty truck. You need a Silverado 3500. And maybe you need all that capacity, but maybe you don't. For me, a half ton does just fine. My day-to-day stuff, a half ton's great. On occasion, rare occasion, I do need to tow more than that. This is a 3,500 pound machine. This is a 2,500 pound machine. Just these two machines alone together, we're like 6,000 pounds. Then you got a 2,000 pound trailer, it's 8,000 pounds. Are you pulling two machines? Maybe you just want one. You know, you're pulling this 2,500 pounds. You say you throw a mulch on another 630 pounds. So you're at 3,100 pounds, something like that. Throw a couple more attachments on it. Maybe you're at 3,500, 4,000 pounds. You can tow that with anything. Think about it. This is super easy homeowner, little baby, 12-foot trailer, not a big deal. Now this one, you're getting a little heavier, you know, an extra 1,000 pounds, but it's still half-ton towable pretty easily. But what if I wanted to take this and my 3,500 pound mini excavator? Now I put those together, now I'm 7,000 pounds. No attachments, just machines. And then my trailer, say it's 2,500 pounds. Well shoot, man, my 7,000 pounds for 2 machines just turned into 9,500 pounds with no attachments. So that's why I got a dually, my ambulance, E450, and currently I have a 10,000 pound trailer. So for me, it makes sense doing the videos and pulling my machines around. But I don't know if it is for you. Only you know that answer. So thanks for hanging out. Hopefully you learned something. I kind of had fun making this video, honestly. I like playing with these machines. They're kind of cool. If you like this sort of stuff, like and subscribe. I've got a whole bunch more videos coming up. Actually, I have a buddy who doesn't live far from here, who bought a Bobcat MT100. And I'm gonna put it head to head with this. And he just picked up the brand new 2025 Bobcat MT120. And I don't think anyone's seen the MT120. So I'm gonna run over there, pull my V1000, the MT120, the MT100, and he's got a Toro Dingo. I'm gonna compare to this little thing. So stick around, like and subscribe. I thank you so much for your support. I appreciate every single last one of you. And if you have any more suggestions or you want to see some new content, tell me what you want to see and I'll try to go out there and get it. Actually, I've got this brush cutter out because I found a place to use the brush cutter, and I'm going to compare how the brush cutter does on both of these machines. Problem is, it's 9:30 in the morning right now. We're supposed to have storms coming about noon today. It's Oklahoma, and there's tornado, major hail chances, and so I'm going to try to get everything tucked away and get my cars put inside. So not today. Anyway, enjoy your time in the trees, and we'll see you on the next one. Now, not only do I have to explain to my fiance why I trashed our yard, but I've got to try to explain to my little robot mower, Luba 2, why Luba's got to try to figure out how to get over all this now. Well, I got to get the machines out of the way so Luba can mow before the storm comes. The joys of playing with machines in your yard. They both have 3